Hello everyone, I'm Brian Croy Dragon and welcome back to Rock's Adventures. Oh, it seems like I've got mail. Uh, Now we continue on our way to Valeria Bay. I can see the other side. There's really no point to use the boat. And the mountain. Of course. Hmm. Okay, well, the symphony on Tuesday was excellent. It was hosted by Christopher Plummer, with the theme being works of music inspired by Shakespeare. It's not the first time I've ever seen Christopher Plummer live. I saw him at Stratford with his one-man show, A Word or Two. It was basically his life story. It was very good. It's too bad they didn't film that. Legacy corn pack. And here comes the sun. Let's see if we can, no, that's a... Yeah, we can go a bit farther. I mean, it's just sand, really. It's just sand. Halo Town. Halo Town. Did I take a wrong turn? is our shelter for the day. And before I get something to listen to, I first want to take a look at our position on the map. Okay, still some way to go until we reach Valeria Bay. So, right, let's pull up iTunes and we'll continue on our way. Continue with the guides from Microsoft Ancient Lands. Ancient Lands, Ancient Worlds, which was it? I believe it was Ancient Lands. Hatshepsut.
What do you mean you don't know? Find out what that runt is up to, or you'll be a permanent resident in the city of the dead. Fool! You may rise. Perhaps you can help me discover what my nephew is plotting. I'm certain he's after more than the throne. You may address me as Hatshepsut, Pharaoh, Lord of the Two Lands. You are surprised that a woman rules from the throne of a pharaoh? Well, who was supposed to run the country when my husband the king died? That little boy, Tutmos III, his son by that other woman. Someone had to take control. And remember, as more than one of my enemies has discovered, I'm as formidable as any man who sat on this throne. Click me and I'll tell you of my suspicions. Oh, I know. Everyone expects me to dress as a queen and spend all my time fussing with wigs, fancy dresses, and silly baubles. I have more serious matters to attend to, and you'll see that I deserve to wear the headdress and regal robes of a pharaoh, as befits my title and power. I've done everything that great kings are honored for. Soon, as the highest priest in the land, I will journey to Karnak to dedicate my newest work. Someday, I'm sure Karnak will be the largest religious shrine in the entire world. I am myself adding 2 towering obelisks, capped with gold. When the inscriptions are finished, they will tell of my great accomplishments and honor Amun-Ra, the god of the sun. Let other women worship Hathor and their gods of children and the home. With the help of Horus, protector of the pharaoh, I will restore the glory of Egypt. And let no one forget that as pharaoh, I am as a mighty god myself. Oh, I've heard the generals talk. They sneer because I have not led an army. But who among them was brave enough to risk a fleet of precious ships on a trip to an unknown land? That takes a different kind of courage. But I showed them, didn't I? My ships returned from the mysterious land of Punt with unimaginable wealth. Gold, spices, monkeys, and most precious of all, trees. None of them could see beyond journeys up and down the Nile. Now everyone wants to set out for Punt, as if they could make that treacherous journey in simple reed boats. But I've sworn my crews to secrecy, and under penalty of death, they're to tell no one how to find Punt. My nephew Tutmos wants more than just the throne, I'm sure of it. He'll get that as his birthright anyway when I die. I'm sure he wants more. You don't think he's after the treasure and the secret of Punt? I'm sure he's not above stealing the gold right out of my tomb. There must be a way to keep him busy with other things. Come, let us consider this problem further. I have ordered a great feast to celebrate the completion of my tomb in the Valley of the Kings. We'll have fish, roast duck, wine from the shores of the great northern sea. The cooks even used exotic new spices brought from Punt. My tomb is just as amazing as the pyramids. It's a huge temple right out in the open for all to marvel at. I'll not be hidden away up in the cliffs like a frightened old man. But still, I'm troubled. Last week we caught a worker trying to chisel my name off the walls of a temple. Before his execution, he confessed that one of my nephew's cronies had paid him to deface my monument. I've got to find a way to stop this outrage before I die. I will not be forgotten, no matter how hard that gnat Tutmos tries to erase my memory. What? True, he's always wanting to lead an army. Perhaps I'll send him off to explore the western desert. I'll have to ask the generals how many men we can spare. You're dismissed. I've work to do. Click me to continue with another guide.
Okay, another guide, Hera.
How am I? Oh, I'm sure you don't want to hear about my troubles. I mean, it's one thing after another up here on Olympus. No, sit. Make yourself comfortable. I insist. Sure, people talk about me all the time, but they never say anything nice. Can you believe how petty some people are? Every little thing that happens around the house is my fault. I mean, really. One little incident with that homewrecker, Io, and now every time a fly buzzes by, it's Hera's mad at you again. Like I have time to pester humans with bugs. The only thing people give me credit for is being the goddess of childbirth. As if that's a great gift. Oh, you'd think a lot differently if you'd had children like mine. Ares fights all the time. Hephaestus, my big successful son, he's a blacksmith who looks like an anvil fell on his face. And Hebe, little Miss Springtime, flits around making flowers pop up everywhere. Not that I ever get any. I do rate my own temple. I'm an Olympian god, after all. You'll find mine at Argos in the Peloponnesus. Well, it's not that small. You'd have seen it if you'd looked a little harder. Oh, I know. Zeus has a grand temple at Olympia where they play those stupid games in his honor. Of course I've seen Athena's whatever. I suppose it's not bad if you're the type who really likes all those columns. You know that awful girl has a whole city named for her? She's always showing off around here, acting like she knows everything. And that little helmet she wears sometimes. Have you ever seen anything so awful in your life? Zeus says Athena was born right from his skull, as if I don't know about that nymph he chased halfway around the world. Next thing you know, he'll be telling me the father of Helen, the most beautiful woman in the universe, was a swan. No, stay. Have another cup. When people dress up as me in festivals, they wear cow faces. Like I'm supposed to consider it a compliment that I look like a farm animal. That's all Homer's fault, you know, as if I had no taste. Really. Well, let's see. I gave the peacock beautiful eyes on its feathers. After that sneak Hermes killed Argus, my servant with 100 eyes. He was the only one who ever looked out for me, you know. Me? No, I don't get out much. Not like I used to, anyway. Not too long ago, I'd spend more time on the road than Hermes, chasing Zeus most of the time. You wouldn't believe some of the places I've found him sneaking around. And those ridiculous disguises. Half the time he looks like a tourist on a half-price cruise. Look, you don't have to go. It's not like I'm that busy. I've got lots of other stories I could tell. Well, how about Dionysus, the god of wine? You can't blame all the trouble he's caused on me. You have Zeus and that little tramp Semele to thank for him. And then there's, well, if you must, click me again to have another guide show you out.
Okay, next up is... what's the bloody time? We can listen to Homer speak as
Of the wrath of Achilles.
we continue
goddess
on our
sing.
way.
No, that won't work. Goddess, sing of Achilles' wrath. No, that's not right either. Sing, goddess, of the wrath of Peleus' son, Achilles. What? No need to shout. I'm not deaf, you know. All right, I'm coming. I'd get there sooner if you'd give me a hand. Smells like a good feast. How's the crowd look? Well, I wouldn't ask if I could see, now would I? All right, put me up in front so I can get started right after they serve the lamb brains. What? Oh, well, I think I'll begin with the Iliad. Hasn't failed in 30 years. Oh, you must have heard of it. Oh, well, all right. Just click me and I'll give you a little preview. Call me Homer. I'm a traveling bard. No, bard. It's a kind of poet. Well, we travel around and sing our songs at dinner parties. My best work's about Troy. Surely you've heard of that. It takes 3 nights to tell the entire story of how the Greeks sailed off to lay siege to Troy. Sing, goddess, of the wrath of Achilles, the wrath that placed 10,000 woes upon the Greeks, and hurled many stout-hearted souls of heroes into Hades, and made them a feast for dogs and vultures. Not bad, huh? Well, maybe you're right. The crowd sounds a little young. Ouch, what was that? Well, tell them to tie the string tighter on the yo-yo next time. Maybe they'd like the Odyssey better. There's lots of shipwrecks and monsters and witches and such. Sing to me of the man Muse, who suffered many ills on the sea, and grieved in his soul for his lost companions. I think this crowd could use a good scare to straighten them up. How about a ghost story of Nemesis and the Fates? I'll tell them how the third fate can always cut lives short just by snipping a thread. On second thought, why don't you just round up a couple of jugglers to keep them happy, and I'll play to the adults. Take me out of here. Pink toes of sunrise. No. Rosy fingers of dawn. That's better. Ah, good idea. Let's try the next house. Thanks be to Zeus, I'm always welcome in the common man's home. A lot of people still respect an old bard. When I pass a doorway, it's a wise man who invites me into the dining room. He gets to put on a show for his friends. I get a good meal and a place to spend the night. No, I don't need much money. Some people think I'm a beggar, but I give most of it away. I prefer to sing for my supper. Coins even make good business cards for me. You'll find the faces of my heroes on a lot of Greek money. This one, it feels like, swift-footed Achilles. Right? I've been on the road longer than Odysseus sailed the wine dark sea. I've sung my tales from Macedonia to Sparta, and a lot of other traveling bards have taken them even farther. Nowadays, at almost any feast, you'll hear one of my stories. They seem to travel right along with the wine and oil. Well, all right. I suppose if you hang around long enough, I can teach you some. Well, let's start with the gods. You got a dozen just on Mount Olympus alone. Zeus with his thunderbolt, cow-faced Hera, Aphrodite. Well, you're a little young for her just now. Here, how about Poseidon, god of the sea and earthquakes? He's always a crowd pleaser, and he really caused trouble for Odysseus. Stirred up a storm and sent my hero off to the land of the Cyclops, the one-eyed giant. Oh, yes, that'd make a good start indeed. But we'll have to get to that after tonight's performance. Click me again to take another tour in the meantime.
Yeah, thinking that another guard won't have to wait. Oh, there. Okay, let's see here. Let's get. Don't look back. We're not heading that way. Yeah, it's just a normal zombie. Nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. brains. Doesn't that sound delicious? Well, if you're into that sort of thing, I don't know about it. Of course, I shouldn't be one to talk about that sounding disgusting. After all, I'm part Scottish, and, well, my Scottish ancestors invented the haggis, so who am I to talk? Wait a minute. Where the hell am I? Hold on, I'll just check the map. I'm actually almost there. Time to race the sun. Or not. How much do you want to guess that for the I might have to find shelter from the sun? I'll only be a few blocks away from Valeria Bay. Alright, we've made it, but the pilgrimage is not over until I set foot inside that building that's here. Now hold on here. I'll get the next guide going, and then I'll take a look at the map.
Hey, wanna see what's in here? Okay, get ready. You really fell for it this time, didn't you? Just like my big brother. He faints every time he has to go inside one of these tombs. That's why he's learning to be a carpenter, and Dad lets me help out in our embalmer shop. My name's Isis. If you think you can handle it, click me, and I'll tell you all about making mummies. I started embalming things myself last year when I was only 8. Our cat died. Cats are just about our favorite animals in Egypt. The whole family was real sad. You can always tell, 'cause we shave off our eyebrows when someone dies, even a cat. I took the cat in the backyard and made it into a mummy, all by myself. I wrapped him up, and then I drew a face on the bandages, so the spirit would recognize him. Dad was real proud when he saw it. I'm pretty lucky. I don't have to go to school at all, like my brother. While he's stuck in a hot classroom, I get to play with toys or help my dad. Mom tries to teach me how to cook and sew clothes, but that stuff's for sissies. Sometimes I tag along with my brother when he goes down to the river with his friends. I like to sneak up and push him off the boat when he's not watching. He really hates that. Dad said I did such a good job with the cat, he'd start teaching me how to work on people. Making a good mummy is a lot harder than it looks. Our shop is the best in town. My dad and my uncle know all about drying out the bodies with salt and all the other ways to make a good mummy. Bet you didn't know it takes 10 weeks. I already know a lot of important stuff, like how to pull a brain out through the nose with a hook. We do that so we don't mess up the face. You probably know that Anubis is the favorite god of embalmers. Everybody thinks he's spooky, 'cause he looks like a jackal, but I think he's neat. Embalmers have a bunch of other special gods, one for every squishy part of the body we take out and stick in jars. My big brother, Keddy, he's named after the liver god. Know what I found out? Some embalmers are so sloppy, they mix up the innards and stick them in any old jar. But Dad's a lot more careful. A good mummy keeps the body from spoiling, so the soul can find it. That's real important. Osiris, the king of the underworld, judges all the dead souls, even the babies. Anubis weighs every dead person's heart against a feather. And if the heart is full of bad deeds, it's heavy. If it's free of guilt, it's as light as a feather. A monster with a crocodile head eats all the heavy hearts, so you better watch out. Dad's shop is really close to our house. They call our town the City of the Dead, 'cause everybody works on tombs for the pharaohs and other important people. There's a village where all the regular people live, and lots of amazing temples. Dad says all the tombs are hidden way up in the hills. Someday, I'm going to sneak up there and see them for myself. You can come too if you're not too scared. Like I said, I don't spend all my time in Dad's shop. I like to go down to the Nile. Even I need to wash up every once in a while. But playing on the river isn't always a good idea. Crocodiles and hippos grab lots of people every year. And believe me, I know. My dad gets plenty of business that way. But you know what? He really hates those jobs. They're very messy, if you know what I mean. Boy, I'm getting really hungry. I think I'll see if Mom has lunch ready. But you don't look so good. I bet you need some fresh air. Maybe you should click me again to take a tour with another guide. See you around.
Yeah, the child actors weren't the best, but at the same time, they were pretty good, but Isis is pretty morbid.
Hi, I'm Marcus. I live on a farm north of Rome with my father, who's a retired centurion, my mother, and a couple of sisters. I'm just a kid, but on March 17th, I turn 14, and then I'll be a man. Our farm is a great place to grow up, even though we have lots of chores. My father got the farm as a reward for more than 20 years of service in the Roman army. We have a nice house all to ourselves. It's not big, but I get my own room. There's also an atrium where my friends and I can cool off after one of my father's lessons in how to use a sword and shield. Things aren't so comfortable for people in Rome. Click me and I'll show you around. Dad says a lot of people are lucky just to find a 2 or 3 room apartment in big cities like Rome. Ooh, sounds like I'd have to share a room with a couple of my stupid sisters. Mom says some people can't even cook in their apartments because they probably burn down the whole neighborhood. Life out here may be more comfortable, but it can get kind of boring. City kids get to visit huge public baths, go to gladiator fights, and watch victory parades at the Forum. I just watch herds of cows come and go. Most people don't think of farmers much until they run out of bread. Dad says Rome is full of people who spend all day just passing around papyrus scrolls and making long speeches. The only stains on their hands come from octopus ink. He says it's the people out on the farms that really keep the empire going. I like working outdoors, helping my dad grow herbs for medicines. Dad heard a lot about that stuff in the army. He says he even learned a thing or two from some barbarian prisoners. Some of our herbs end up with doctors, but a lot of people make their own medicines out of cabbage, garlic, and other stuff we grow. Personally, I'd rather eat a whole cart full of cabbage than take one sip of that stuff they sell in Rome. It's made out of snake guts. I'm pretty lucky for a farm boy. I got sent to school for a while, just enough to learn to read and write. I'm sure glad I don't have to go anymore. School is just a noisy room in town, and everybody hates the mean old teacher, Flaccus. You had to sit for hours scratching lessons on a wax tablet. And then we had to memorize Greek and Latin poetry, scrolls full of it. It was Arma virumque cano, day in, day out, ad nauseum. I learned more interesting stuff from all the traders who come down the road than I ever learned in school. One old craftsman told me about Britain, and another guy showed me a mummy mask from Egypt. Sometimes we can even see a whole legion on the march. And once, a long line of cages came by full of bears. Dad said they were headed for a big show at the Colosseum. Speaking of which, we better get moving if we're gonna get to Rome before dark. I guess I fell asleep for a while, but that smell and the noise sure woke me up quick. And people think the cow pasture stinks. I'm not sure I'm gonna like Rome after all. There's so many people you can hardly move. Everybody's always yelling, and they talk so fast, I can hardly understand a word they're saying. My old teacher Flaccus would whack them across the head if he heard how they butcher their Latin. Wow, we sold everything so fast we get to go to the chariot races at the Circus Maximus. I've never seen so many people in one place. Look, there goes the first race. Dad's favorite team, the Greens, is in first place. Whoa, did you see that guy get flipped out of his chariot? The horses must have dragged him half a lap. This is so amazing. I'm almost too excited to eat. But the sausages they make here are really good. Want a bite? Hey, what's going on? Everybody's standing and cheering, Hail Caesar. It's Nero, the emperor. Here, stand in front of me where you can get a better look. He's really kind of short, isn't he? He looked a lot younger and bigger in that statue we saw on the way to the stadium. Hey, he's actually going to race. I'll bet he always wins. Hey, do you think we can sneak off to the Forum? I want to tell you about my big surprise. For my birthday tomorrow, we're coming down here to the Forum to watch Marcus Antonius Valens march in triumph through one of the big arches. He captured an entire barbarian tribe, and all the prisoners are going to be on display. Dad says it's going to be amazing. The general paints his face red, gets to wear gold and purple, and a victory crown. There's going to be a band and a ceremony at Jupiter's temple. Let's meet back here first thing in the morning, okay? But there's lots more to see until then. Click me again to take another tour. Bye.
Okay, that actually was the right amount of time. let's see, head southwest, and we should be hitting Latin's monument any moment. We made it. It took us 3 days, but we're here. Pilgrimage over. Let's see here. Not gonna be doing a boss. How about we take a look around? If Nero was looking older, not only looking that much older, considering he commits suicide at 30 or so. Marcus was probably 13 late into his reign. And keep in mind, he was a late teen in his early days. Ore Wars, the shearing of the lamb, Jurassic Pork, Indiana Bones, Navateon, I'm Bored by the Ping, Craftwork Orange, Dragon, in the end no one can hear you, QQ. Ghastbusters. And there's something weird, and it don't look good. Who you gonna call? Ghastbusters! Forest Glop. Life is like a bucket of slime balls. OP Faction. Lamine Trex. Spines. Skirmish Club. Who needs a Valentine? I have cats. You cast a spell on me. Rest room. Watch for vampires. Shop here. Wash your hands. Public farm. Rooms for safety. Don't sprint. Don't use caps. Don't litter. Stay in town. Don't anger Latin. Go home by dark. Thank you, server staff. Keep out. Condemned, target circle and chapel, eat here. Beware werewolves. Blast zone. The blob. When was the last time Latin was on? I miss her. She's one of the people who makes the server great. A good place to be. Deadly Apple Goon Selfie. Death Deal. Witch's Brew. Minding the 13th. Happy Go Unlucky. Valeria Beach Export Company. Weathered Crops. Failed Crow. Hops Populi. Makes creepers look good, oh my god. Cornucopia. Testificate. Round-fed buff. Gapple. Elm Creeper. Herobrine. Wanted, dead or alive. Latin goddess. I don't know if there's anyone who's actually tried to take up that wanted poster. Rain Freeze. The Lost Vikings. Lego Malego. You know, I actually wrote that back in the 7th grade, and people were saying it's Lego my Lego. Lego my ego. Well, they didn't get the joke. Obviously, they didn't get the joke. Mind Creeper. Block Invaders. Something like Pac-Man. Don't know what that's supposed to be. Mega Mine. Doomed. I don't know that command. Looks like a Metroid right there. This is a good place to visit. Got a statue right there. At least I think it's a statue. Yeah, it's a statue. We'll look at this side once the sun has gone down. Now for another guide, and oh lord, it's Melvin.
Plus MCXX plus LMCXI less the uniform allowance equals... What? Oh, all right. I suppose it doesn't matter. I've got piles of papyrus to go through here. No one's more depreciated than accountants. Just a little accounting humor there. Oh, never mind. No one gets my jokes. My name's Melvin, the accountant. I suppose you think engineers and craftsmen built the Roman roads and aqueducts. Everybody's always awestruck, thinking how tough they must have been. How they did it with just the strength of their big muscles. But they couldn't have started without written approval from guys like me. Look, click me, and I'll show you how we accountants have always run things, even if nobody seems to care. It all really started in Mesopotamia. That cuneiform you've seen on all those tablets? Well, it wasn't codes of law and stories about great battles. Most of it's ledgers telling how many cows some farmer owned or how much grain he paid in taxes. Can I borrow a tissue? This dust always makes my sinuses swell up. Anyway, all this writing stuff got started because kings needed to keep track of how rich they were. The first writers weren't poets, they were accountants, like me. I wish I'd been an accountant in Egypt. Scribes, that's what they called us in those days, got a lot of respect. They didn't have to serve in the army or pay taxes themselves. Keeping track of a pharaoh's treasure wasn't easy, though. They had tons of the stuff, and taking inventory was a real problem. Half the time, no one would tell where it was stashed. Unless you have some sunblock, we'd better move on. I burn easily, you know. The Greeks made things simpler. They had coins, a lot easier to count than cows. Watch your step, there's still a lot of sheep around. Anyway, it was still a nightmare. Every time you visited a new town, you had to exchange your money for the local variety. I suppose that kept a lot of my colleagues busy, but they sure wore out a lot of wax tablets keeping track of everything. And for all their fine statues and epic poems, the Greeks were terrible with money. Keeping Athens in fighting ships took some fancy number juggling, let me tell you. And Alexander was another matter. He wanted only the best for his troops. Used to be. Soldiers bought their own spears, but he starts using standard weapons. So many supplies to keep track of. Then he goes marching halfway around the world. It makes my feet hurt just to think of it. Then there's the Romans. I'll never understand them. They were always complaining about how poor they were, but those shows at the Colosseum and the theaters? Free! No wonder they had to tax everyone they met. And I don't care how many troops they had, they never could have held the empire together without guys like me keeping track of all the income from the provinces. Don't believe me? Why do you think it took the barbarians so long to finish off Rome? They had the weapons, they had the troops, but they didn't have anyone organizing things. Not that I'd volunteer, you understand. Too cold and damp up there. No, we accountants never see our names on monuments. It's always some king or queen. Even poets get more respect. But the next time you look at a big temple, remember, somebody had to make sure everything was put together in the right order. Look, I'd better get back to work. I bill by the quarter hour, you know. Click me again if you want to take another tour. Oh, now, where was I? Factoring in allowable expenses.
Alright,
Welcome. I'm
Next-
Nofret,
next.
priestess at the temple to Amun-Ra. I've lived here at Karnak since I was a baby. The priests say my mother died when I was born, so my father left me here for them to raise. Now I work in the temple, and I help the priests serve the gods and our pharaoh. We Egyptians worship many gods. Some heal the sick or protect us from dangers like crocodiles. You've probably heard about Osiris, the god who rules over the dead. But here at Karnak, I serve Amun-Ra, the most important and powerful god. Still, today's a very scary day for me. click me and I'll explain. Yes, the temple here is huge. It was built a long time ago, but a lot of the buildings are new. See that big lake? It's full of sacred water that the priests use to cleanse themselves before they make offerings. The priests are very powerful. They have enormous farms to raise food for the offerings, and you wouldn't believe some of the beautiful golden incense burners they use during the ceremonies. Some say the priests are so rich and powerful, they even tell our pharaoh, King Tutankhamun, what to do. But they should really be grateful to King Tutankhamun. Although he's not much older than I am, he's very wise. He ordered craftsmen to rebuild the whole temple. You see, it was abandoned by his uncle Akhenaten. Oh, we're not even supposed to say the name of that hated pharaoh. He dishonored all the gods and made everyone worship just one god, Aten, the sun disk. But King Tutankhamun restored all the gods and this temple. He's coming to visit today, and I want to thank him, but I'm really scared. You see, I've heard the priests talking, and I even saw a scroll that one of them accidentally left in the dining area. I didn't understand everything on the scroll, but I think some of the priests are very angry with him, maybe enough to murder him. They say that now that he's almost 19, King Tutankhamun doesn't just follow their orders anymore. I think they're afraid he'll appoint new priests and take away their power and riches. I really want to tell King Tutankhamun about this when he comes to visit, but I'm not sure how. Do you think I can leave a message when I go into town? The priests won't be suspicious because I often leave the temple to take care of the sick. I bring villagers food, magic amulets, and medicines. Maybe I could hide a warning in a scroll of prayers I always carry. I'd better hurry. I have to prepare myself for the ceremony at the temple. Everyone has to wash and put on their finest clothes. We get to wear beautiful amulets, wigs, and special makeup. Did you know that my name means the beautiful one? Maybe if the king notices me, he'll stop and I can give him my message. Oh, but I'm so frightened. I just might faint. You know, I saw the pharaoh when he visited last year. He rode in a golden chariot. He's not very tall, and he's just a little older than I am. But he looked so important with his crown and golden sword. I heard some of the priests called him a spoiled little boy, but I think they're just jealous. King Tutankhamun is returning to help us honor Amun-Ra. For 5 days we play music, dance, and have huge feasts. I've been practicing songs and dances with the other priestesses for months now. Some people play big harps, but I like to keep the beat with these ivory clappers. I guess our music sounds a little strange to you, but King Tutankhamun always enjoys our performances. The pharaoh really liked the music, don't you think? He's gone to offer food to Amun-Ra in a secret shrine. Even I can't go in there. Besides, I have to help get the feast ready. This time we're having more food than ever. There's lots of special bread, roast duck. Look, they even cooked a whole cow. But something's wrong. Have you seen the food taster? He was supposed to be here to make sure everything's safe. You don't think the priest would poison King Tutankhamun, do you? I've got to find the food taster right away. Maybe one of the other guides can help. Click me to choose another guide. Good luck.
Once upon a time, we did believe Tutankhamun had been murdered. These days, we know he died of malaria.
It's best not to know what the fates have in store. If you insist, I will answer your questions, but beware. You may not like some of my replies. You may call me priestess. My name is not important. I speak for Apollo, the god who can foretell the future. I see things to come, but my vision of your future is a riddle that you alone can solve. No, I will not speak to you directly. I utter my predictions while I am deep within a trance. The priest conveys my answers. Click me and I will explain as I prepare for my mystical journey. First, I must put on my simple robe. You are expecting me to don an elaborate costume? My prophecies aren't some kind of show. Don't touch that necklace. Once it belonged to the goddess Harmonia. It makes whoever wears it beautiful, but it also brings great woe. Remember, things often are not what they first appear to be. You were wise to journey here to Delphi, the most important of all Apollo's oracles. Yes, it's difficult to reach us here on Mount Parnassus, with such steep cliffs all around. I trust you left offerings along the road as you approached. So many people neglect their duties to the gods and then they bemoan the destinies we reveal to them. Once, this oracle belonged to the earth goddess, and a serpent protected it. But mighty Apollo slew the dragon and built this new temple. Now other gods, Athena, Dionysus, even Hephaestus have erected temples here, but Apollo's shrine remains the most important. People travel from all over Greece just to seek our guidance. Indeed, some come for the Pythian Games as well. Those athletic contests are second only to the great Olympic Games themselves. Travelers and traders spread our fame wherever they journey. Even Croesus, a barbarian king from Lydia, came to see us here. He paid handsomely for advice on whether he should fight Persia. But, like so many others, Croesus didn't understand what the oracle told him. The priestess said he would destroy a mighty empire. So he rushed off to battle with Cyrus, the king of the Persian Empire. In the end, it was Croesus who suffered defeat, not the Persians. And the empire he destroyed was his own. You'll hear many such stories about the prophecies revealed at Delphi. Perhaps you know the tale that Sophocles told about Oedipus? Here at this oracle, Oedipus learned that he would kill his father and marry his own mother. Yet even knowing what fate had in store, Oedipus could not avoid his own tragic destiny. No, even I can't predict what comes after this life. That is a mystery only the fates can unravel. Even Apollo has no power over them. But I have little fear. As a faithful servant of Apollo, I am confident I will find happiness in the Elysian fields. I hear the priests arriving. I must begin to slip into my trance. Click me again to journey with another guide.
Well, wasn't that really something? Well, the pilgrimage is over. We've come to Valeria Bay, safe and sound. The season is half over. At least I think it is. What will tomorrow bring? Well, that's an excellent question. I haven't decided on anything. Might take a good nature walk, do some dungeons, maybe fight a boss. After all, not having a plan is what makes things interesting. I'm Brian Croydragon signing out. Stay Shrey!